From this video, we will be discussing about the concept of data types. After completing the data types, we will be discussing about the flow control statements like the if statements, else statements, looping statements like the for loop, while loop. So let's start with the data types in Python programming language. In this tutorial, I will be providing you basic understanding about the different data types available in the Python programming language. So let's first start. So here we are having a Python data types. Python data types. This Python data types is divided into the multiple types. First one is the numbers. First one is the number. Then the next one is the Boolean value. Then the another one is the set. Then the another one is the dictionary. These are the different data types available in Python programming language, and the next one is called as a sequence. Now these numbers are further divided into three different types. Numbers can be of integer type, that is integer, int. Numbers can be of float type, is a floating point number, and numbers can be of complex type. Integer means like a decimal value, like 20, 10, 1, 5. These are the integer values. If I talk about the floating point number, the values which are having a decimal digits like the 35.75, 36.01, 2.3. So these all are the floating point number. Now the complex means we are having a imaginary value. That means 3 plus 1 plus 3j, 1 plus 10j, real value and the imaginary value. So those values are called as a complex type. Now Boolean means either it can be true or it can be false. Boolean means simple, true or false. Now that means whenever we are writing any data inside the curly braces, it is called as a set, like 2, 4, 6, 8. So all these values are set. If I will basically print the type of this data type, I will get the set. We will do the practical implementation, but for now you can simply understand whenever you are writing some data inside the curly braces, that is considered as a set in Python programming language. Now if I talk about the dictionary is also similar to set. That means representation is similar. We will be writing the data inside the curly braces, but those data will be in the form of key value pair. Key value pair means 1 is the key and the value for 1 is A. 2 is the key, the value for 2 is B. 3 is the key, value for this 3 key is C. Basically, first one is representing the key, this is key, and this is its value. And key value are separated using a colon sign. So this is first key value pair, this is second key value pair, this is third key value pair. Now set can basically store any kind of data. It can be of data of the string data type and the other data types. Now sequence is divided further into the three different types. That means it is divided into three different types. First one is called as a string. String means when whatever the data we are writing either inside the double quotes Python, or it can also be inside the single quotes. Both are the programming language. Whatever the data, if you are writing the data inside the double quotes or single quotes, it is considered as a string in Python programming. Then we have a list. Other data type is list. List is also the important data type. List means whenever you are writing any data inside these square bracket, that is 1, 2, 2.2. Inside this, whenever we are writing any data inside the square bracket, that is considered as a list. The element of the list can be of any data type. Any data type means first value is a integer, second value is also integer, but the third value is a floating point number. It can also store a string value. It can also store a list of lists. It can also store a list of dictionary. So inside this, we can pass any kind of data type. Okay, any kind of element with any data type. Then the third one is called as a tuple. Tuple. So tuple means whenever we are writing any data inside the round bracket, that is considered as a tuple in Python programming language. 2.2. It can also store the data of any type. can be a string, it can be a dictionary, it can be a list. So tuple can also store the data of multiple types, but the representation of the tuple says that you need to write the data inside the round bracket. The difference between the list and the tuple is tuples are the immutable. Immutable means once we have provided the data inside the tuple, we will not be able to change the data of the tuple. But inside list, we can change the data. So we can change the data of the list, but we are not allowed to change the data of the tuple. So we are having two different data types. First one is a list, and the another one is the tuple. So let's first revise. So Python is having the numbers, boolean, set, dictionary, sequence. Number is further divided into integer, float, complex. Boolean means true or false. Set means whenever we are writing any data inside the curly braces, the data elements can be of any type. It can be a floating point number, it can be an integer, it can be a string, or any other data type as well. But those data must be inside the curly braces, so it is considered as a set. Then dictionary means we are having a key value pair. First is called as a key, and the another one is called as a value. And we are combining those data inside the curly braces, so it is called as a dictionary. Then sequence is further divided into the multiple type, that is a string, uh, list, and the tuple. Now let's do the practical implementation of all of these. Let's move to the VS Code. Here I am creating a new file. The name of the file is data types dot py. Let's start with the tuple. Let's start with the string. So here I am creating a name, and inside this I am storing the Python value. Since I have stored the data inside the double quote. So if I will use print, and we already have discussed, if you want to check the type of data stored inside the variable, you can simply use the type keyword. Now if I will save this, I will get the output as class str. Execute this again. So we are getting the class str because the data we have stored inside this variable is inside the double quotes. So that's the reason the Python interpreter is detecting that it is of the string data type. In the similar way, we can create a boolean data type. Boolean means either it can be true or it can be false. So here I am having boolean variable. Inside this I am storing true. So I will use the print statement to check the type of data it is storing. It will be a boolean data type. Save this. Let's execute this. So first one is the string, and another one is the boolean type. Then let's create a tuple over here. Tuple means create a tuple. So I have provided a variable named tup, and I told you that whatever the data we are writing inside this round bracket, it is considered as a tuple. 2.3 comma 4 comma Python. So tuple can store element of any type, but the data must be inside the round bracket. So I have first data is the of the integer type, another data is of the floating point number, the third data is of the integer type, another data is of the string type. And then if I will print the type of this tup, so as you can see, Python is dynamically typed. It is automatically detecting what kind of data we are storing inside the variable. So we have created a tup variable. If I will execute this, as you can see, it is automatically detecting that it belongs to a tuple class. Now there's one thing. Let's consider I am creating another tuple, but this time I told you that whatever if we are writing anything inside the round bracket, it is considered as a tuple. I have provided a one value, and if I will check the type of this particular tup1, I will get string. This is not a string. Let's check. I'm getting the integer. What is the problem with this? The problem with this is basically like I told you that whatever we are writing inside the round bracket, it is considered as a tuple. But in case of single element, you need to provide a comma. You need to provide a comma. If you are not providing a comma in case of single element, it is that this variable is going to be considered the whatever the data you are passing inside the round bracket. So I have passed the integer value. That's the reason it is detecting. It is detecting that it is of the integer type. Now this time it will be of tuple. It is tuple because I have provided a comma over here. So if you want to create a tuple with a single element, then you need to provide a comma. This can also be an interview question. So you must understand this. Then let's create a list over here. Here I'm creating a list one, and inside this I told you to create a list you need to use a square bracket, 1 comma 2 comma Python, then a floating point number 6.9, and inside this I am passing a tuple, so I can create the multiple I can create a data of any type, but the whole data is of the list type. So the inside the list, first element is of the integer type, another element is also of the integer type, third element is of the string type, then the fourth element is of the floating point type, then the fifth element, this is the whole element, and the fifth element of the list is of tuple type. So if I want to print type list one, I will get the type as list. As you can see, I'm getting the type as list. So this is the list data type in Python programming language. Now the another one is the set. So I'm defining a variable set1. To define a set, you need to use a curly braces. Inside the curly braces, you will be typing 1, 2, 3, and a string Python. Then inside set, I'm providing a list 1, 2, 3, 4. Inside list, I'm having string. Now, if I will check the type of this set, means print type of this set1, execute this. So it is saying set1 is okay. We first remove this. We'll discuss this error later. For now, simply remove this, and you can see whatever we are typing inside the set1, we are typing inside the data inside the curly braces, and the data, the set1 variable is storing the data of the set type. Now the last one is the dictionary. So dictionary, in dictionary I told you that dictionary store the data in the form of key value pair. So I am defining a variable eict1. Inside this, first I need to use the curly braces to define a dictionary, then I need to store the data in form of curly braces 1, and then a 2 b 3 c. So basically, the keys of the dictionary can be of any data type, and the values of the dictionary can be of any data type. In this example, we are taking the keys as integer and we are taking the values as string. If I will check the type of this data, type of data we are storing inside the dict1, it will be of the dictionary type. Okay, it is of the dictionary type. So we discussed about the set, we discussed about dictionary, we discussed about list, tuple, and integer we already have discussed, floating we also know, and complex. Let's discuss the example of complex also. Here I've created a variable b which is storing 1 plus 5j. Now if I will print the type of data the b variable is storing, it will be of the complex type because it is storing the real as well as the imaginary value. So till now we have discussed the basic part, like what are the different data types available in Python programming language, and how we can create those data types, like how we can deal with those data types. But we will be discussing all these data types in very much depth in the further modules. Like I have the separate modules for the list, I have the separate module for the tuples, I have separate module for the dictionary. So we will be discussing these things in different module, but for now you are having a basic understanding that these are the different data types, and in the using the square bracket I can create a list, using the round bracket I can create a tuple, using the curly braces, and inside the curly braces if I am passing the key value pair, in that case it will be considered as a dictionary. So till now we have discussed the basic understanding about all the data types which are available in Python programming language. I want to convert the data of one type into the another type. It is called as a Python casting. Python casting. Python casting means converting data of one type into the another type. Converting data of one type into the another type, another type. Okay, so if you want to convert the data of one type into the another type, you must be using some default built-in functions. Let's consider you want to convert any data into the integer type, you will be using int. If you want to convert any data into the float type, you will be using float. Then if you want to convert any other data into the complex type, you will be using complex. Then for boolean you will be using bool. Then for string you will be using str. Let's do some practical implementation so that you can get the understanding of this. Here I am on the VS Code. Here I am creating a new file with the name of casting.py. In casting.py, I am creating a variable py. It is storing a floating value because I am providing a decimal value 3.14. 3.14. Now, if I will print the type of this py variable, obviously I will be getting the float type. I am getting the class float because it is storing a floating point number. Now I want to convert this floating point number into the decimal number. I want to convert the float into the int. So for this, what I will do, I will simply use like this one. I will create a variable num, and then after that, I simply want to convert this py variable into the different type. So I will simply use the int. That is a default function to convert into the integer, and after that, I will pass the name of the variable. Now, if I will print the type of num1, type of num, I need to print the type of num. Let's save this and let's execute this. So as you can see, initially for line number 2, I am getting the floating point number, but for line number 6, I am getting the integer. So in this way, you can convert the data of one type into the another type. Let's understand with another example. So this was of the conversion of the floating point number into the integer value. Now we are going to convert the boolean value into the integer value. This boolean into the integer. So let's consider I am having a variable which is storing a true value. I am having a b which is storing a false. False. Okay. Now I want first if I will print the type of a, obviously it will be a boolean value. If I will print the type of b, obviously it will be a boolean value. Let's execute this. I'm getting a boolean. But now I want to convert this into the I want to convert this. So I will use bool, and then inside this I will pass the name of, basically I want to convert it into the integer format. So int, and then I will pass a, and then int, I will pass b. Now if I will print the type of c comma d, sorry, it must be a type of c, and then it must be a print type of b, type of b. Let's save this and let's execute this. I have saved this and I am getting the type as int. Initially it was boolean, now I have converted into the different type, that is of the integer type. Now if I will print the c and d, let's also print the c and d. Let's see what is the value. Print c and print d. Print d. So for the true value I will be getting 1, and for false value I will be getting 0. So as you can see, for line number 17 I'm getting 1, and for line number 18 I'm getting 0 because c is storing a true value. Okay, so c that means a 1, and d is storing a false value, that means a 0. So in this way you can convert one data type into the another data type. Let's understand one more example over here because this is an important example. The string into the integer. The string into the integer. The string into the integer. If I want to convert the string value into the integer, let's consider I have created a variable, and then inside this I am storing a 10 value inside the double quotes. Since I am storing inside the double quote, so if I will print the type of a, so obviously I will be getting the string type. As you can see, I'm getting the str. It belongs to str class, but I want to convert this string into the integer format. So I will be creating a new variable b, and then I will be using integer and then a, and then I will print type of b. So it will be of integer type. It is of the integer type. Okay. In this way, you can convert the data of one type into the another type. Now we have discussed how we can convert the string data into the integer data. Now let's discuss how you can take the user input, how you can take the input from the user. So this is the important thing, is how you can take input from the user, input from the user. So for taking the input from the user, we are having a default function that is called as an input function. Using this default function, you can take the input from the user. Let's do the practical implementation for this. Let me first comment all this. I have commented all this. Now from line number 25, we are going to learn about taking input from the user. Taking input from the user. So let's consider, I want to create a program for the addition of the two numbers that user has provided to us. I want to create program. Let me first take the name of the user as an input. So I want to take a name. I've created a name variable, and then I'm using an input function. Inside the input function, I can print anything. Basically, I can write anything which I want to print on my terminal. So I can write, please enter your name. Please enter your name. So if I will save this, and after that I want to print that name also. Let's save this and let's execute this. So our terminal is asking, please enter your name, and our program is waiting for us to provide us name. So we are typing Python. So I will click on enter. Python is getting printed on the screen because of the line number 28, because we are, after taking the input, we are also printing that name. Let's print the type of the string, type of the variables also. Like means name. So obviously it will be a string, because by default input function always take the input in a string format. It always take an input in a string format, but it comes with a problem because it is always taking an input in a string format. So what will be the problem? What problem we will face? So obviously let's create a program for this. So we want to create a program for the addition of the two numbers provided by the user. First I have created a variable, and then I'm taking the input, and inside this enter the value of a. Enter the value of a, and then I'm creating a b variable. Inside this I'm taking the input and enter the value of b, and I want to print the addition of a and b, a plus b. So if I will execute this, so first the program is waiting for us to provide the value of a. I provided the value of a as 10, and I provided the value of b as 10. So if I will click on enter, due to line number 34, I must get 10 plus 10, that is 20. But if I'm clicking on enter, what I will get, let's see, I'm getting 10 10. The reason is that because a variable is also storing a string format, b variable is also storing a string format. So it is simply combining the two strings. So the a is storing 10, b is also storing 10. So the line number 34 is combining the two strings. That means 10 plus 10. So it will become 10 and 10. That's the reason I'm getting the 10 and 10 as the output. If let's execute this program one more time. So here I'm executing this again. I'm providing the value of a as 18, b as 19. So I will get the output as 18 19. 18 19. So but this is not the desired output. So for this, we need to convert this string data into the integer type. So what I will do, I will do the typecasting over here. I will create a typecasting. That means I will convert the data into the int format. I have started integer from here and I will close over here. I have converted the string data into the integer format. This I will also convert. And after that, this time if I will execute, I'm executing. If I'm providing the value of a as 10, b as 10, I'm getting the output as 20 because this time I'm getting the input in the integer format instead of the string format. Okay, so this was how you can take the input from the user. We have discussed the typecasting. We have discussed the different data types available in Python programming language, but we will be discussing the data types in very much depth. For now, I have basically provided you the basic understanding why we are using the different data types. We are moving to our next topic, that is control flow statements. Control flow statements. This is also the very important topic. Control flow statement means it always helps us to take the decisions. So I have prepared a PPT for this. Just a minute. We are going to discuss the control flow statement. Flow control. So we are going to discuss this topic, that is a flow control in Python programming language. So in this, we are going to discuss the multiple things. First, we will be discussing about the decision making process. Then we will be discussing about the if statements. Then we are going to discuss about the if else statement, then elif statement, then Python loops, while loop, for loop, and control statements. So these all topics we are going to discuss inside the flow control statement. And this topic is very much important because you will be dealing with the multiple conditions, and in this topic you will be learning how you can deal with those conditions, how you can write the code based on your requirement. So first one is, let's move to the next slide. So decision making means you will be provided with a condition, and based on that condition you are going to take the decision. So decision making is the most important aspect of almost all the programming language. As the name implies, decision making allow us to run a particular block of code for a particular decision. Let's don't move to the technical part. Let's understand this with a very basic thing. In real life, if I want to take a decision, let's consider there is a person John. There is a person John, and John mother told John that if it is raining outside, these are the clouds. So John mother told that if it is raining outside, you will not go to play. But if it is not raining outside, you can go to play. So if it is sunny, then you can go to play. But if it is cloudy, you will not go for play. We have two conditions. First one is when it is sunny, then John can go to play. But if it is cloudy outside, then John mother is not allowing him to go to play. Not play. Then do not play. Do not play. Now, based on this condition, John has to decide that whether he is going to play outside or not. Obviously, John will check. If it is sunny, then John is going to play outside. But if it is cloudy outside, John is not going to play. Okay, so in real life also, we are taking decisions based on particular conditions we are provided with in a similar way. In case of programming also, you will be provided with a particular condition. In case of programming also, you will be provided with a particular condition, and based on that condition, you are going to execute your program. A simple example can be your password. If you want, let's consider you want to log in inside a particular website. There is a login page. There is a login page. You want to access this login page. You want to you are going to provide your credentials. Now in backend, a code is written. You will be providing with your email ID. Then you will be providing with your password. Now there is a login button, that is login. So in backend, the software engineer has implemented this particular thing. That means if email ID and the password is correct, if both are correct, that means the AND operator. If email is correct and the password is also correct, both are correct, in that case only the user must be login. That means if email and password are correct, then login successful, login successful. If in case email and password are not correct, then login invalid or the credentials invalid. So basically we are checking the condition. We will also be implementing this particular problem on the VS Code, but for now you can simply understand that if password is correct, in that case only user must be login, and else the you must provide a pop-up that means invalid credentials. So based on some conditions we are taking the decisions. Okay. And indentation we already have discussed in the starting video. What is the indentation? So if blocks, whatever you are writing, if you want to denote that this particular lines are inside the this particular block statement, then you will be using the concept of indentation. This we have already discussed in the video number 1. To the next slide. Now we are starting with our first conditional statement, that is the if statement. If statement basically check a single condition. If the single condition is true, in that particular case it is going to execute that task, otherwise it is going to reject that task. So this is a syntax for the if statement. If a statement says first it is going to take the expression, or you can instead of expression you can take the condition. So you will be provided with a particular condition. If that condition is true, in that case whatever the data is written inside the body of the if statement, how we can decide that it is written inside the body of the if statement? Due to this indentation. So these indentation are denoting that these two statements, that is statement 1 and statement 2, are inside the body of the if statement. If this particular provided expression is true, in that case only the body of the if statement will be executed. If there are the multiple statement, all those multiple statements will be executed. But if there is a single statement, then only the single statement is going to be executed. Definition is also saying the same thing. The if statement is used to test a particular condition, and if the condition is true, it execute a block of code known as if block. Okay. This is the flowchart. Flowchart says that if the condition is true, at first it is going to check for this condition. If the condition is true, then this condition can provide you two output. Either it can be a true or it can be a false. If it is a true, then block of code, that means whatever the statements written inside the if block, it is going to be executed. But if in case the condition is false, then the program will move further, and the block of code, that means block of a statement written inside the if statement, will not be executed. Let's understand this with a practical example on the VS Code. Let's create a file that is conditional statement. Conditional statement .py. .py. Okay. So here I am creating a number. I have created a number variable which is storing a value 10. Which is storing a value 10. Now my requirement is that I want to check if number is greater than 5. In that case I want to print number is greater than 5. Else I want to print basically if the number is greater than 5, I want to print this statement. Otherwise I simply want to move outside the if statement. This is inside the if statement, but this is outside the if statement. I simply want to write this. I am outside the if block. Okay. If I will execute this, I am getting both the line printed. Line number 3 is also getting printed, and the line number 5 is also getting printed. The reason for this is because this condition is true. This condition says because the number is storing the 10 value and 10 is greater than 5, so this condition is becoming true, and the body of the if statement is also getting executed. Once the body of the if statement is getting executed and after the execution is moving to the further lines, that means to the line number 5, so I am getting the both line printed on the terminal. Now if I will mark this condition as a false, let's make this condition as a false, that means number is greater than 15. So obviously number is not greater than 15 because 10 is not greater than 15. So this time only the line number 5 will be printed. Line number 3 will not be printed. So as you can see, line number 5 is getting printed, but line number 3 is not getting printed because the condition is false. Because this time the condition is false. In this way, you can check the condition, and based on the condition you can take the decisions. So this was our first block, that is a if block. Then the another is the if else statement. If else statement is basically the else statement is added inside the if statement to handle the false condition. Initially, in case of if statement, there are two conditions. That is either it can be true, either it can provide us the true result, or it can provide us the false result. True is handled by this particular statement, but false is we are not able to handle the false statement, so we are using the else statement for executing this. So what we are doing to handle the false condition, we are using the else statement. So the syntax for this is we are using the if condition. If this condition is true, basically if we are executing this particular block, if this condition is true, in that particular case the statement written inside the if block will be executed. Otherwise, if condition is false, in that case the body of the else block will be executed. So we are having the two conditions. If it is true, then the body of if block will be executed, but if it is false, in that case body of if block will not be executed, body of else block will be executed. The flow chart is also saying the same thing. First we are going to check the condition. If the condition is true, then if block is going to be executed. We are having two blocks. If block is going to be executed. But if in case the condition is false, in that case else block is going to be executed. Let's do the practical implementation for this. So here I am commenting the if block. I am commenting all this. Let me comment this. Comment this first, and now we are going to discuss about the else if block. Else if block. So here first we are going to basically we are going to combine the multiple things. First we are taking the input from the user. I am saying I want to take the input from the user, that is password. And for password, I am taking the input. We already have discussed to take the input. We need to use the default function, that is input. Enter your password. Okay. Now I am checking if password is if the password is equal to double quotes. I'm checking this condition if provided password is equal to Python learning. In that case, I want to print password is correct. I'm checking if password is equal to Python learning. Basically, to compare, we need to use the double equal to. Single equal to means assignment operator. This we have discussed. Else, I want to print if this condition is not true. In that case, I want to print password is incorrect. Please enter the password again. I want to put incorrect password. Correct password. Please enter the password again. Enter the password again. Okay, let's save this. So I am executing this program. It is asking me for the password. I am providing 1 2 3 4 5. If I will click on enter, I will get incorrect password. Please enter the password again. because I have provided a password and it is checking a condition, that means password is equal to Python learning. But the password is not equal to Python learning. I have provided the password as 12345. That's the reason I'm getting the password is incorrect. But if in case I will provide the correct password, that means Python learning. This time password is correct. So in this way, you can check the password is correct or not. Now you can use this particular if else statement for checking the multiple kinds of conditions based on your requirement. Then we have the another statement that is called as a elif statement. So else if we are done, then we are having a elif statement. Elif statement is for checking the multiple conditions. Whenever we are having a multiple condition, when for checking the multiple condition, we are having a elif statement. Else if elif statement. Okay. In this, we will be having the multiple if basically if and elif blocks. So first, if it is a if condition, it is going to check for this expression. If this expression is true, if this condition is true, this block is going to be executed. If this condition is false, in that case, is this block is not going to be executed, and the execution of the program will move further. Then it is going to check for this particular condition. If this condition is true, then this block will be executed. If this condition is false, in that case, this block will not be executed, and the execution will move further. Again, it will check for the another condition. It will check for this condition. Okay, this condition is true or not. If it is true, then this block is going to be executed. Else, if it is false, it is not going to be executed, and the program will move further. If all the provided conditions are false, in that case, the else block will be executed. Okay, so the flowchart is also saying the same thing. Let's execute this and let's implement this on the VS Code so that you can get the clear picture about this. So we are implementing the, let me first comment all this. We have commented this. Now let's implement the elif statement. Just write a comment statement. So in elif statement, we are creating a, basically what we are doing, we are taking the input from the user. First, in user input, we are creating a variable user input, and then we are taking the input from the user. Please enter your input. Okay, now we are checking the conditions. So if user input is 1, user input equal to 1, in that case I want to provide print that you are admin. I want to print this statement. Then I want to check the another condition elif. If user input is equal to 2, in that case I want to print you are a guest. You are a guest. Then elif if user input equal to 3, in that case I want to print another statement, that means print you are a manager. You are a manager. And then another condition elif if user input equal to 4, in that case I want to print you are the editor. Else I want to print invalid user. Invalid user. If user is providing any other input than 1 2 3 4, the user will be invalid. Let's execute this. So first it is asking me for please enter your input. I have provided 1. So when I am providing 1, so the first if block will be executing, and the rest will not be executing, because all other conditions are false, and but like the body of if statement is true. So it is saying that it is an invalid user. There might be some error over here. So let me check this. We have provided a user input. It is asking is okay. The problem is same because we have not converted into the integer type. The it is comparing the string and integer. So user input is in the string format and we are comparing it with the integer number. That's the reason I was getting the error. Let's execute this again. Now please enter the input. I am providing 1. I'm getting you are admin because this block is getting satisfied. This block is, so that's the reason this statement is getting printed on the line number 19. Now let's execute this again. This time I'm providing the input as 3. So I will get that this one, line number 23, you are a manager. But if I will provide a wrong entry means I have provided a value like 10. I will get the invalid user. So in this way, you can check the multiple conditions, and based on the multiple conditions, you can do the multiple tasks. Okay. So this was about the conditional statement.